Ha- How's it going, everyone? Pretentious Writer here. Listen guys, confession time. I've been looking to try a type of video that I can make monthly, that I can talk about movies and TV that I watched, but I'm not exactly interested in making a specific video about it. And also that I can talk about other stuff that I like, video games, anime, books, film news, all these kinds of good shit. I tried doing something like this a few months ago, but that video turned out to be complete horrendous toxic garbage, so I deleted it from my channel, and I want to do a fresh start on this concept, to create a series of videos where I highlight the best stuff I've watched, played, read this month. It's as simple as that, and if you guys enjoy it, I'll keep it coming. Cool? Cool. That's the intro, let's just go right into it. So we had the Oscars in March. Before that, I tried to watch a lot of stuff I missed in order to catch up and properly follow award season. The result was that I burned through a lot of films I wanted to check out, and in return, April was kind of a slow month in regards to movies for me. I watched infinitely more TV, but that doesn't mean I didn't watch some movies. The first one being one that slipped through the cracks of my Oscar marathon, and that was The Last Duel. And guys, listen, as Chris Stuckmann said, this movie did not deserve to flop on the box office. It's easily my favorite Ridley Scott movie since The Martian, and it's a delight to see him return to the period epic type genre he excels at. Part of me thought this movie was gonna be kinda silly, with Ben Affleck, Matt Damon and Adam Driver playing these historical figures, using fancy dialect and wearing those horrifying mustaches and goatees, but weirdly enough, they all did a great job. The plot is not perfect, there's definitely some padding here and there, but the way it's structured, following each character's point of view and adding little changes here and there to make most of the narrators unreliable, was a nice touch. And then when the title of the movie finally arrives at the final act, man oh man, it fucking delivers. The duel is greedy, hardcore, and it takes its time to play out. Made me remember that when given strong material, Ridley Scott can do no wrong. This is the type of epic movie that we don't see anymore, so please, if this sounds like your thing, check it out. It deserves at the very least a cult following. Now switching gears completely, I finally checked a classic of comedy, and that was Airplane, which was really fun, even though I think I need a rewatch, or at the very least embark on a Leslie Nielsen marathon to get his brand of humor and grow to appreciate it. This is the first movie from his golden era that I've watched, and I can definitely see why it has such a legendary status. It has a type of offbeat and bizarre humor that just simply doesn't give a fuck about continuity or any trace of realism. Which is something that should be right up my alley, but it's so out there at times in every single place, especially with its plot and characters, that, as I said, I might have to watch more of these type of movies to get it, you know? Which is not to say I didn't enjoy it, because there are some awesomely insane moments in this surprisingly short film. Every minute there's a little cheeky pun or a visual gag happening either in front of the screen or in the background, and you can feel the director and the actors grinning with joy with each new joke they make with someone's name or with a word they hear and misinterpret. It's a fun movie that I didn't go completely gaga over it, but I had a good time. I want to see if after this I check out other Nielsen's classics, and it's definitely a movie that every comedy enthusiast should watch. Now switching gears once again, we get to the only movie from Christopher Nolan's filmography that I never watched up until this moment. Insomnia. A movie which, judging by the IMDb score, I expected something very middle of the road and mediocre, but turned out to be quite decent. The big catch here is that out of his entire body of work, it's the movie that feels the least Nolan. Insomnia is like a 90s thriller through and through, and although you can still feel him behind the camera with some choices here and there, there's less of that cold, calculated feeling you get when watching something like Inception or Amnesia, for example. And that's because of one thing. It's the only movie of his career that he did not write. Which is not a bad thing until the third act, which I feel fall into some of the trappings of the genre. Like characters getting kidnapped last minute, a final shootout out of nowhere between the good guy and the bad guy, that kind of stuff. Which is a shame because up until that point, it really works as an investigation procedural, before turning the tables and almost switching genres on the second act, becoming a character study between two not so dissimilar men, and making you question your allegiances in the process. Acting all around is really good, the main trio being the obvious standouts, like Robin Williams in one of the creepiest performances of his career, Hilary Swank doing good work as the bright-spirited cop, and Al Pacino grabbing another role and just going batshit crazy with it. There are some fine ideas at display here, even though the movie doesn't rise too much above your usual 90s thriller. But still, a good watch. If you're a Nolan fan or you're feeling nostalgic and just looking for this type of movie, it's worth checking out. And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes my movie watch. Now, for a more considerable watch list... Is it just me, or are we being blessed by the TV gods right now? Because holy shit, there's so much good stuff going on, to the point that I absolutely cannot keep up with it. I count at least 5 acclaimed shows from the past few months that I still haven't watched, and there's 2 or 3 ongoing that I've heard nothing but good things, but I'm probably gonna be able to check it out only in June or July. And yeah, I know, I'm complaining because we have an embarrassment of reaches, but man, it's still overwhelming trying to keep up. In any case, this is the best of what I've watched. Starting with Severance. Did you watch Severance? No? Listen, I don't have much more to say about this show that I haven't already said in one of my previous videos, so check that one out, link is in the description. It's still the best show of the year. There are 2 candidates that threaten to take that #1 spot, but until then, it's gonna stay that way. Now, I want to highlight 2 shows that strangely flew under the radar for most people. The first being Dopesick. Listen, this show is not an easy watch. As a foreigner who didn't know much about the opioid crisis that hit the US back in the 90s and 2000s, and it's still ongoing apparently, I was completely appalled. It shocked me how hard it hit the country, and the story makes an amazing effort to show the impact from every perspective. The doctor who's prescribing oxy to patients, one of his patients, the young salesman who pushes these medications to doctors, and the fact that Danny Strong, the showrunner, manages to hold such a sprawling tale under control is a feat in and of itself. There's a lot of jumping back and forth between timelines. You go from following folks in a small Virginia town to jumping a few years and watching 2 smart attorneys enter a decade-long investigation. Their plotline specifically is downright gripping, and frankly, it helps you take a breather from the more grueling subplots, like following innocent characters falling victim to addiction. It's an incredible story, part drama, part investigation procedural. As I said, it's not an easy watch, it's gonna get your blood boiling at so many points, but I still think it's an important and necessary watch. Oh, by the way, I will be very annoyed if Michael Keaton and Kaitlyn Dever don't win an Emmy for their performances. They're both that good. Now, the second TV show I wanted to mention is Tokyo Vice, which was such a pleasant surprise. My god, I miss the type of stylish neo-noir that revels in those neon colors around the big city, a show that has plenty of style without ever becoming void of substance. The story goes on about how deep the Yakuza's roots run in Japan in the early 2000s and how an American journalist started to pick on it, and this show is nothing but compelling. The acting from everyone ranges from good to top notch. The Japanese actors are all very good, Ansel Elgort and Rachel Keller are great and speak a borderline fluent Japanese. I don't know, at least to me they sounded way more accurate than what we see out there. And boy is it good to see Ken Watanabe in a big role once again. The man just dominates every fucking second he's on screen. Love to see it. Some subplots here are obviously better than others, but everything melds together in a nice way and keeps the flow of the story going. And there are some surprising turns here and there, as you would expect from a show like this. If crime dramas and Michael Mann movies are your thing, who, by the way, directed the pilot, this is very watchable television. I also finished another TV show in the beginning of May, but since this ran in the entirety of April, I felt like it was fair to put it here. And that was Moon Knight. Listen, I know some people might frown when they hear anything Marvel related, but to be honest, I've enjoyed all of their shows to some degree. There have been problems which are still present in this one, but talking about Moon Knight specifically, 2 things stick out to me in a positive way. First of all, Oscar Isaac. Holy shit, the man is a beast. The way he switches between the personalities is nothing short of incredible. I think since Tatiana Maslany in Orphan Black, I haven't seen an actor inhabit different characters so much that they actually feel like they're being played by different actors, with this being very noticeable in episode 5. The second thing is the technical aspects. The directing of the show is at times pretty damn good. It takes a greedy and insane field approach, experimenting with camera movements in a way that I haven't seen Marvel do it before. And it frankly made the experience a lot more enjoyable. I also like that the plot is way more straightforward and it's basically one big mummy reboot at times. Looking at you, episode 4, which is not a criticism because that episode was fucking amazing. What is a real shame is that the show drops the ball on the last episode. It feels rushed even though it's not as much as other shows that preceded it. but I would really wish that Marvel would stop forcing these shows to run 6 episodes long and then cramming every single plot closure on the last episode, instead of letting them develop their plots more organically. But it was a good, fun show. Probably my second favorite of the MCU so far. Now, to cap off my TV segment, I want to briefly mention 2 shows that started in April and are on a fucking roll right now. The first one being Better Call Saul. Man, I don't know how controversial it will be for me to say this, but is it possible that this show will end up being even better than Breaking Bad? And this comes from someone who loves Breaking Bad. But Better Call Saul has had such an amazing style, it has felt way more consistent in terms of quality. And the story has just been getting better and better. My friends, we are 4 episodes in and I've watched a scene in one of these that's already an all-timer in TV history for me. Whoever is following the show week to week knows what I'm talking about. There's so much good shit in Better Call Saul, I'm gonna make a video about it soon. The second show I like to highlight is... because, man, Bill Hader can do no wrong. Excelling in writing, directing, and acting, Barry snuck up on me and has become one of my favorite TV shows currently running. The second season was pretty much perfect, and yet 3 episodes in, and I'm already suspecting this new one is gonna be the show's best yet. It feels like they're breaking the character of Barry and everyone around him apart and just doing it in the most unhinged ways. I can even go into details because right on episode 1 we have an event that completely turned my expectations of the story upside down, and sincerely, I have zero idea where this is gonna go next. One thing's for certain, I trust Hader and his crew to knock the socks off me. And that's it from the TV side of things. Now for some extra stuff. It's been some time since I played any games, which I'm trying to change this month onward, since video games have always, in a weird way, helped me with my creativity. In any case, I did find the time during April to play this little indie game called Pony Island. I could try to walk in eggshells and not spoil anything, but right from the get-go, the game tells you what it's all about. Pony Island tricks you into thinking it's one thing, but it pretty quickly turns nasty, and then you are in this fourth wall breaking journey through puzzles and other things to escape what seems like a demonic realm. You can probably finish this game in a night or an afternoon, but the way it is constructed kinda enraptures you in a borderline insidious way. You keep playing because you want to save your character from literal damnation, but the thing is, because of the fourth wall breaking nature of the game, little by little, it starts to creep up on you. Just as an example, I started playing this game in the middle of the night. And then it got time for me to go to bed. And I couldn't, I refused to stop playing until I finished it. Because in a weird way, it felt like it wasn't my character but me, actual me who was trapped in that game. And that stopping midway to continue on the next day would be wrong. Like I was gonna leave my soul trapped in there, waiting for me to pick the game back up and continue. In all, it's a fantastic little indie, very creepy at times, you're gonna find on Steam really cheap, and if indie puzzles with elements of horror is your thing, I'm pretty sure you're gonna enjoy this. And talking about creepy things, I don't know how, but I stumbled upon a YouTube channel called Boysvert. It consists of a number of short videos with black and white visuals, and a lot of disturbing imagery. Not the gory type of thing, just unsettling stuff. I'm still trying to unpack what the hell is the creator trying to say there, because I can feel a lot of the melancholy coming from their videos. It's not a coincidence that the channel started during the pandemic, and the feeling of isolation, solitude, and just losing your mind seem like the prevalent themes of the channel. Of course, all spiced up with weird ass visuals and the creepy as hell dark man with horns. For anyone who's looking for something abstract and disturbing, this channel is probably gonna hit your sweet spot. And to cap things off, for real now, I want to talk about one last thing. Chris Stuckmann. Guys, I started on my path to become a filmmaker around 2016-2017, and it was also around that time that I discovered his channel. So in a weird way, his reviews were a place where I grew as a cinephile, as someone who wanted to do this for a living. I never agreed with all of his takes, but I've always admired how passionate he was about cinema and movies in general. I, for example, always respected how he was such a huge defender of horror movies. It was also really cool to discover he had filmmaking aspirations as well, to find out about his past works and now recently about his new project Shelby Oaks. For those who are unaware, this is his feature film debut. He hit off with a producer on a film festival, started working on a script based on an alternative reality game on YouTube, and things seemed to be going great. Then a lot of shit happened and he had to resort to crowdfunding in order to, in his words, be able to make the movie he envisioned. Something that is always very risky. So I can tell you guys how heartwarming it was for me to see the outpouring of support he got. Shelby Oaks becoming the most funded horror film project on Kickstarter's history. Recently he shared a picture of the movie's slate, officially announcing the start of the film's shoot. And I was just happy to see that. He doesn't know me and I don't know him, at least not personally, but it brings me joy as someone who's looking forward to get there one day as well. To see another filmmaker come from this platform, someone who I followed and who I know how passionate he is about movies, being able to succeed and be given a chance, all with the support of this community to top it off. I wish all the luck to him during this shoot. I know how grueling and downright scary making a movie can be at times, but he seems to be very confident in the material and he has a great production team behind his back. And I really hope Shelby Oaks turns out amazing. Stuckmann definitely deserves the success. And that is all, my friends. Hope you all enjoyed this video. It's a bit of a new thing for me, and as I said, I'm willing to make this a staple of this channel. Thank you all for watching. Is there any film news, stuff that you've watched or played this past April that you would like to recommend to others? Then please, fire on the comments below, and see you next time.